Assalamualaikum and hi to everyone. In this slide, I will explain chapter 2, which is under topic raising capital, where in this slide also, I will only focus just to the subtopic, which is under private placements and public issues. This is the chapter learning outcome for this chapter. At the end of this chapter, students should be able to firstly demonstrate how venture capital works and then understand the initial public offering, private and also public placement. And for chapter outline, for this slide, it will only focus the subtopic number 4, which is under private placements and public issues. We start with what is raising capital. Raising capital represents a way on how to obtain capital or get financing. So as a corporation, to get the fund for running in terms of the operations and also to make the business run smoothly, some of the corporation needs in terms of the capital and the way on how company can get the capitals or getting financing is called as raising capital. So there are two sources of financing available for a corporation to choose in terms of getting the capital. The first sources is under external funds and the second sources is under internal funds. What is the difference between external and also internal fund? External fund represent any sources of financing or capital that company get outside from the business operations of the company, where the sources of financing come from financial market, for example, or come from the venture capital, or the other external funds represented by equity capital, where the sources of financing come outside from the business operations of the company, where company need to find out a place, a market, or a or investment to get in terms of the capital. And in contra from that, we have internal fund. So what is internal fund? Internal fund represent any funds of money or capital of the money that company get from the business operations of the company itself. So the examples of internal funds such as retained earning and also earning after tax that company get based on their profit earned from the business operation or the sales from the company itself. And for external fund based on raising capital, there are two types of external fund, which is venture capital and also equity capital. In this subtopic, we only focus based on SEO, which is Seasons Equity Offering, which is under equity capital. What is Seasons Equity Offerings or SEO? Seasons Offering or SEO is also known as secondary offerings or subsequent offerings, which involve the issuance of additional share of a publicly traded company to the public for capital raising. So SEO represent issuing in terms of number of share from the company, which is a company that already listed on Bursa Malaysia. So it's only involved with a company which has already listed on Bursa Malaysia. There are two types of SEO exist. The first one is cash offer, where the cash offer represent a company offers the new shares to investor at large, where under cash offer, a company which is a publicly listed company will offer selling in terms of the share to the selected potential institution investor at a large volume. And for The other types of SEO is right offer, and for rights offer, it's represent a company offer the new shares only to existing shareholder, where under right offer, it's represent in simple word when the company selling in terms of the new shares to the existing shareholder. So for season equity offering, it can raise in terms of equity from market through various forms such as special issues, private placement, and also right offering. So special issues and also private placement is the two types of form under SEO based on cash offer, and then for right offer it is represented by right offering. Okay, so that is SEO, which represent a way on how company can get in terms of their financing by selling or issue in terms of shares to the selected potential investor, where the requirement for the company to issue shares based on SEO, it must be a company that already listed or publicly listed in Bursa Malaysia. There are several reasons for season equity offering why company choose for SEO. The first reason is to raise new money to fund operation, because as we know under raising capital, the main purpose is to help in terms of organization or a corporation to get in terms of capital or raising in terms of fund. So that's why the main reason for SEO is to raise new money to fund in terms of the operations. And then the second reason is to grow the business, to make sure that the business can be growing from time to time, and then to buy new equipment and machinery, and also to purchase in terms of land or building, or in simple word, from SEO, the organization or company can increase in terms of their fixed asset by buying in terms of equipment, machinery, and also land. The other reason for SEO is to pay down in terms of debt involved by the company, and then to make mergers and also acquisition, where from mergers and also acquisition, it can help in terms of a company or organization to expand their business. And then the other reason for SEO is to recapitalize the business, and the last one is to increase in terms of the working capital. It is important for the company to increase in terms of the working capital, because it can help in terms of liquidity positions of the company. And this is the examples of advertisement for SEO offering. So as we know, SEO is one of the equity offering that offered secondly from the publicly listed company, where based on these examples of advertisement, it shows that the real network company will sell in terms of their common share or common stock, where the volume for the shares is 4.6 million, and the price is given at $58 per share, and it is also listed in terms of the uh, several information that required by the investor to see before they start purchase the shares offered from the company. So this is the examples of advertisement for SEO. Okay, so next we move to special issue. As we know from the previous slide, there are two types of offer under SEO. The first one is under cash offer, where the examples of cash offer is also called as special issue, where it consists of bonus issues and also sell share to the employees. So what is bonus issue? Bonus issue is a situation when company give reward to the existing shareholders with the new shares but no cost involved. So means that under bonus issue, company will give shares to the existing shareholder as a reward for them because it's giving the share base as a reward. So that's why there is no cost involved. So it is called as bonus issues. And then the second types and the special issues is sale shares to the employee, where from the term itself, it represents company sell new shares to the employees. So the main reason why company selling the shares to the employee because they want to encourage the employee to become the shareholder of the company. Where under sale shares to the employee, company will sell the securities at discount price to encourage the employee to own company equity. It represents that company will sell the shares to the employee at a lower price compared to the price offer to the potential investor. So the reason for selling at lower price is to encourage the employee to own the equity or share of the company and become part of the company as a shareholder. And the other elements under cash offer is based on private placement. So what is a private placement? Private placement is also known as direct placement, where under direct placement or private placement, it represents company sells securities directly to the selected potential investor. Who is the selected potential investor? Selected potential investor represent any institution investor who is already selected by the company to purchase in terms of the share offer to the selected potential institution investor, where the process does not involve the underwriters. Why? Under private placement, it does not involve with the underwriters because company already know the potential investor that will purchase the shares of the company because they already know the potential investor, which is the institutional investor. So that's why they can directly sell the shares to the potential investor without the involvement of the underwriter. Where under private placement, company will find the institutionals as their investor and they are willing to buy. So examples of institutional investor such as financial institutions, such as insurance companies, such as investment companies. So that is represent a selected potential investor who is the institutional investor that can be selected by the company to purchase in terms of the share offered by the company under private placement. And for the second types of SEO, which is under right offer, it's also represented by right offering. So what is a right offering? Rights offerings represent issue shares to existing shareholder before sell it to public at a subscription price and at within certain period. So right offering in a simple words is represent the way on how company can sell in terms of their share to existing shareholder, where when the company selling the shares to the existing shareholder, they will sell it at subscription price. So what is a subscription price? Subscription price represent selling price offer to the existing shareholder which is lower than the price offered to the public, and the offering terms or period is also limited or specific uh, by the company to be offered to the existing shareholder. Right? It's important to avoid dilutions of ownership, where the dilutions of means proportions of ownership of investor in company is reduced. So it is important and give benefit to the existing shareholder when they purchase the share based on the right offering, because it can avoid in terms of dilutions of ownership. So dilutions of ownership means proportions of ownership that can be reduced. So if the shareholder can have more shares owned from the company, it represents more ownership owned by the existing shareholder, and the authority of the shareholder also stables and bigger in the company. So if the shareholder can have the benefits or can have the opportunity to purchase the share during the right offering, it is good for the existing shareholder because they can avoid in terms of dilutions of ownership. So right is issued at subscription price, which is lower than the current market price, and then for the right offerings is also represent characteristics of the common share, which is based on preemptive right. So one of the characteristics under common stockholder uh, or common stock investor is preemptive right. So what is preemptive right? Preemptive right is a right offer to existing shareholders to purchase additional shares in any future issue of a company's common share before the shares are made available to the public. To in respond with the preemptive right, so that's why company will offer in terms of right offering to encourage existing shareholder to purchase additional share, and this requirement is only offered to the existing shareholder who are owned in terms of common share from the company, because for the common shares only have the preemptive right opportunity where it will offer a right to the existing shareholder to purchase additional shares at lower price. Preemptive right may protect a shareholder from losing voting power as more shares are issued and the company's ownership become diluted. So this is also the other reason why right offering can avoid in terms of dilutions of ownership toward the existing shareholder. And this is the differences between initial public offering and also season equity offering. So what is a difference between IPO and also SEO? For the first point, under IPO, it is occur when a privately owned company decides to raise revenue or capital by offering ownership shares of stock or debt security to public for the first time. And then for seasons equity offering, which is SEO, it is occurs when a company that was previously listed release additional shares or debt instrument. So in a simple word, IPO represent when the company issue shares to the public for the first time. So newly issued security to the public for the first time is represent initial public offering, and then SEO, which is season equity offering, represent when company that already or previously listed in Bursa Malaysia sell shares to the potential investor. Okay, so we can say that IPO is for newly issued company who are not listed in the Bursa Malaysia yet, and they are selling the share to the public. But for season equity offering, that is for previously issued company, which is a company that already listed in Bursa Malaysia, and they are selling in terms of the shares to the potential investor. So initial public offering, which is IPO, is also known as a primary offering, and the season equity offering, which is SEO, is also known as secondary offering. The third differences between IPO and also SEO. For IPO, the share price setting process is necessary because newly issued. So for IPO, they will have a process of setting in terms of price to be offer or sell to the public because they are not issue yet because they are newly issued shares. So that's why it will have a process of setting in terms of the share price to be sales to the public. But for SEO, since the shares is already listed or exist in the market, so that's why there is no involvements or necessary for share price setting process because market price for the share is already exist in the market. So this is the three differences to differentiate the difference between IPO and also SEO. Okay, so that's all explanations for the fourth subtopic under this chapter, which is on private placement and also public issue, where in this topic is focused more on seasons equity offering. Okay, so hope everyone can understand regarding the explanations and enjoy listening to this video. Thank you.